Good morning, students. Dr. Steve Sheo here. I've received a number of inquiries about the final steps for this Module 9 SAM Project 1B. Thus, in this video, I'd like to go over the solutions to the final steps, and I'll include steps 9 through 12 in the video. So here we are, Green Lake Sports Camp. Let's go to instruction sheet. And the first one I'm going to look at is instruction number 9. Go to the revised fees worksheet. Takara is considering whether to change the coaching fees for private lessons. She has created 3 scenarios on the revised fees worksheet showing a $5, $10, and a $5 decrease. Step 1 is create a scenario summary report using the average per session as the result cells to show how the average profit changes depending on the coaching fee changes. Okay, so we want to go to, first of all, what if analysis. So let's get back to our report. They did tell us to go to the revised fees worksheet, and then in the range C11 through G11, they told us to go to what if analysis. So here I have file, home. Over here I go to my what if analysis and I prepare a scenario manager. Now this is really quite simple. All we do is select summary, and then the result cells, well, those are in step B. It says C11 through G11, and of course this is already highlighted here since I highlighted it down there. So we get this new report summary, a scenario summary. And, it talks about the $10, $5 increases, $5 decrease, and their impact on salaries. Okay, then the final step on this one, it says change the name of the report, the tab. So let's rename it. And what do they want? They want revised. Scenario report. Okay, so we have completed step number 9. Let's see what they want in step number 10. Now let's take a look at step number 10. Takara also wants to focus on 1 or 2 types of private lessons at a time. When comparing the average profit per session, return to the revised fees worksheet and create another type of report as follows. And here she wants to create a scenario pivot table report. So let's go to our spreadsheet. I already am on rise fees. Let's go to what if analysis. Go to scenario manager and go to summary. Here we have 2 scenarios. We can either do scenario summary or a pivot table report, and this is the one we want. The results cells are C11, G11. That's already in there. So I'm going to hit OK, and it creates this pivot table report for us. Now, it also asks us to change the worksheet name. So I'm going to come down here, rename this, and it wants it to be revised fees pivot table. And they also want us in step C to format these values here. So I'm going to highlight those values, right click, format cells, And they ask us to format those things as accounting with the $sign, but with 0 decimal places. Okay, now this completes step number 10. Now let's go on to the fun stuff, step number 11. Okay, let's take a look at step 11. Here we're dealing with linear constraint theory. And you can see from table 3, they have a whole bunch of constraints, 10 in number, I believe. And you use constraint theory in your life. Suppose I was wanting to buy a used car. I might want the color to be green. I might want the price to be $5,000 or less. And I might want to be the location of the car to be within 50 miles of my home. So here we have 3 linear constraints that we need a green car, its price has got to be $5,000 or less, and it's got to be within 50 miles of my house. So that's constraint theory. So let's take a look at this more detailed constraint that they're using here. You can see the table down here. And basically, we want to use solver. So let's go to our spreadsheet. They said go to games, so I click on that. And under data, I have solver installed. So I'm going to click on solver. And it gives me some parameters to fill in. So let's go back to step 11 and see what they want. The objective, well, they tell us there, they want it to be the cell H17, which has a name, and I'm going to just type in the name, or I could have typed in H17, but I'm just going to do it as they have in the instructions. Total underscore weekly underscore profit. Okay, so we have that as the objective. The changing variable cells, they tell us that in step B, or part B of step 11. Use C5 through G6. So we're going to type that in. C5, G6, and then I've decided that, they told us to use the simplex method. There are different solver tools for nonlinear, and simplex is linear and evolutionary. And so basically we just want to use the simplex LP. And then now let's go to that chart and see if we can start filling in the constraints. So I'd like to add a constraint. Okay, now let's look at the first one. Each game is scheduled at least once on Friday and once on Saturday. So they tell us what the range is. So again, where I'm just going to type in C5 colon G6. And they want the range to be greater than or equal to, so let's change this to greater than or equal to 1. So what we're saying is at least one game is scheduled on Friday and on Saturday. So let's hit OK. And you can see that this constraint is our first one put in, and it's listed right here. Now I'd like to add the next constraint. And here we want each Friday and Saturday game value to be integers. It doesn't make any sense to have partial games in that case. So again, C5 colon G6, and that's going to be an integer value equal to an integer value. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK on that. And again, now that shows this range has got to be an integer value. Okay, let's add the next one. Okay, it says that each sport, baseball, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, so forth, has to be greater than or equal to 1. So that range is given to us. So you can just type in C7, G7, and that one's got to be greater than or equal to 1. So that's our third constraint. So I'll hit OK. And again, it now appears in our constraint list. Okay, down to the fourth constraint. Okay, the fourth constraint is that value C7, that range C7 through G7, is got to be less than or equal 3 times a week. So I'm going to make that less than or equal to 3. Okay, so that solves that constraint. Let's enter the next one. Add. Okay, now they say the total Friday night games, that's in cell H5, is got to be less than or equal to 10. We'll hit OK. These total Friday night games has to be less than or equal to 10. And then the next one, total Saturday games is got to be less than or equal to 15. So that's going to be cell H6 in this case. Less than or equal to 15. Hit OK. Oop. There's no such cell as that, so I better go back and make that H6. Okay, so total Saturday games is less than or equal to 15. Go to the next one. So far we got 1, 2, 3, we got 6. We're halfway done, if I'm counting correctly. Okay, total Saturday games less than or equal to 15. And then the next one is total weekly games, H7. So let's do this. Cell reference is H7. And that's got equal to 13. So we'll make this equal 13. I'm going to hit OK. And you see total weekly games is equal to 13. Then we're going to do Friday practices. So add the constraint. E21. And that's got to be less than or equal to 2. So the total of Friday practices less than or equal to 2. Next constraint. I'm down towards the bottom of that constraint table. Saturday practices. Saturday practices, they say use cell E22. And you can see Saturday practices here. Equal, less than or equal to 2. Total Saturday practices less than or equal to 2. That's there. Now for the final one, add the constraint. This time they say go to cell E23, which would be right here. So we have E23 23, and this has to be less than or equal to 5. Hit OK, and we got our 10 constraints. Total practices less than or equal to 5, the last one we entered. Okay, now we set it at simplex. That's good to go, and so we just hit solve. And it asks us to keep, so we'll hit OK. And so we have that solution. Now let's finish it off by looking at step number 12. Takara wants to document the answer solver found, including the constraints, and a list of the values solvers changed to solve the problem. Produce an answer report. So basically, like it says, we just go in there and solve the model again. So let's click on our spreadsheet. Go to Games. Go to Solver. I'm going to hit Solve again. And this time up here, it gives me an option of a answer report. Hit OK. And then down here we have a list of the constraints and how they were evaluated. And so what we can do then is we finish that. So all they ask us to do is rename this one as Games Answer Report. So I'll just type that in, Games. Answer Report. So that's the solution for step 12. And this ends the videos. If you have any questions, give me a shout. Have a great day. Bye.